Hey there, and welcome to S News. If you want to stay up to date with the latest developments and in-depth analysis from around the world, make sure you follow S News to catch this and all our future videos. We really appreciate your support, so please consider subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment below to let us know your thoughts. It helps us a lot, and we love hearing from you. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, stick with S News for all the stories that matter. July 25th, the United States discovers a massive nuclear facility, and President Trump orders a second strike on Iran with a B-52 bomber entering Iranian airspace. The region is inching closer to disaster as the threat of nuclear war looms over the Middle East. Israel is ready to launch a preemptive strike, and the United States has lost patience with forces disrupting peace.
Iran keeps challenging the international community, refusing to give up its nuclear program and declaring it's ready for full-scale war with Israel. A direct confrontation between two longtime enemies in a region always on the verge of explosion. At the same time, peace talks over Gaza are on the verge of collapse, with Hamas showing no genuine intent to negotiate. The United States has pulled out of the negotiations, giving Israel full authority to act as it sees fit to eliminate the threat.
American intelligence recently uncovered a massive underground nuclear facility in Iran, believed to be where Tehran is secretly increasing production of weapons-grade uranium.
The Pentagon immediately laid out a strategic military response plan.
In a shocking development, the wife of a top Hamas leader quietly fled to Turkey with a large sum of money, a sign of chaos and internal breakdown within the group. In a controversial move, French President Emmanuel Macron announced that France would recognize a Palestinian state, prompting a strong backlash from Israel and straining diplomatic ties between Paris and Tel Aviv. According to reports, escalation in the region is likely to intensify rapidly.
Iran remains defiant about halting its nuclear program and continues to express readiness for war with Israel. On Wednesday, Iranian President Macron reiterated Tehran's refusal to give up nuclear development, saying the country is fully prepared for a new war. His remarks came just 2 days after Tehran's foreign minister told Force News that Iran would not stop enriching uranium, while still claiming Tehran was not pursuing nuclear weapons.
In an interview with Zazara, President Trump said, "Iran should never be allowed to have nuclear weapons, and we agree with that. We're against nuclear arms, politically, religiously, ethically, and strategically."
President Macron added that while Iran believes in diplomacy, any future negotiations must benefit both sides, and Iran won't tolerate threats or ultimatums. He also dismissed Trump's repeated claims that the United States dismantled Iran's nuclear program, calling them false. "Our nuclear capability is in our scientists' minds, not just in facilities," he said.
Just days after Israel targeted high-ranking military officials and nuclear scientists believed to have delayed Iran's nuclear program by up to 2 years, the United States launched its airstrikes. But security experts told FNU Digital that Iran still has significant military capabilities, and it's unclear if they managed to move enriched uranium before Washington's strikes.
Mr. Macron admitted that the Israeli operation targeted key officials but failed to dismantle the nuclear program. He warned that Iran is ready to strike Jerusalem if war breaks out again. "We're fully prepared for any new Israeli military action, and our forces are ready to carry out air raids deep inside Israeli territory," he said. Iran and Israel are still technically under a ceasefire mediated by the United States and Qatar after last month's 12-day war. But Iran's president said he doubts the truce will hold. "We're not optimistic, that's why we're prepared for every possible scenario and response. Israel hurt us and we hit back. They struck us hard and we hit them deep. They just hide their losses."
Hamas's lack of cooperation led the United States to pull out of the Gaza ceasefire talks, giving Israel, freedom to act. The American delegation withdrew from Doha, Qatar's capital, where negotiations had been ongoing.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's office released a similar statement citing Hamas's uncooperative stance, according to U.S. envoy Steve Wolf. Wolf met with Israeli and Qatari officials in Rome on Thursday, May 24th. Reports say he confirmed the delegation returned to the United States for consultations after Hamas's latest response clearly showed a lack of willingness to agree to a truce.
Despite major efforts by mediators, Hamas appears disorganized and honestly insincere. The United States is now exploring other options to recover hostages and stabilize Gaza. Wolf called Hamas's behavior selfish and unfortunate, reaffirming the US commitment to lasting peace.
Israeli media reports claim Hamas now wants the release of 200 Palestinians serving life sentences for killing Israelis, plus 2,000 others detained in Gaza after October 7th, a demand far beyond the previous negotiation terms. Israel had reportedly agreed to a deal involving 125 prisoners serving life and 1,200 others.
At a Thursday State Department press briefing, spokesperson Tommy B. George declined to give details about alternatives the United States is considering for recovering hostages or stabilizing Gaza. When asked if the US would continue participating in the Doha framework, which includes representatives from Egypt, Qatar, Hamas, Israel, and the United States, he gave no specifics.
George said, "The envoy's statement speaks for itself, but the wider context matters. Hamas violated the October 7th ceasefire, then broke another. Now, as the envoy made clear, they continue to act in a way that blocks any new truce. So let me be clear. It was never the United States that rejected peace efforts. The problem is Hamas. They've shown that again and again. Israel accepted the deal long ago. Hamas didn't."
Also, the State Department confirmed Thursday that the United States will not attend the upcoming United Nations conference on the two-state solution between Israel and Palestine.
New intelligence has revealed a massive secret Iranian nuclear facility, and the United States is reportedly planning military action. It's believed to be in the province of Exmin and is considered the country's largest uranium enrichment center.
The facility, in the remote Shan region, is thought to be even larger than the well-known sites at Fordo and Nastan. The Iranian government hasn't officially acknowledged the site, which is located in the desert of central Iran. This has raised some serious concerns, especially for the United States and Israel.
The New York Times reports the facility's construction began around 2022. Satellite images reveal deep underground tunnels believed to house centrifuges for enriching uranium to weapons-grade levels. Based on this intelligence, experts warn of a renewed risk of conflict between Iran, the United States, and Israel, especially following the June 2025 strikes on facilities in FDO, Nastan, and others.
FDO and Nastan are Iran's two main nuclear sites. They've been attacked several times and likely suffered heavy damage. The uranium facility in Skeen, located 30 kilometers away and buried 80 to 90 meters underground, holds up to 3,000 centrifuges. Meanwhile, the Nastan site has 50,000 centrifuges and remains Iran's primary enrichment plant.
In the latest strike, a US B-2 stealth bomber dropped 14 13-ton GBU-57 bunker-busting bombs on the Fordo site, causing major damage. While Iran claims the underground facility only sustained minor damage, the Nastan plant was hit repeatedly, with Israeli airstrikes destroying above-ground infrastructure before US forces finished the job.
The newly discovered Zan site is believed to be even larger and deeper than both previous sites, making it harder to destroy using GBU-57s, which can only penetrate 60 meters of reinforced concrete. According to the Washington Post, the Zan facility may be part of a secret program launched after the United States pulled out of the JCPOA in 2018.
Satellite imagery from Masa Technology in 2024 shows ongoing construction, 4 tunnel entrances, multiple chambers, and S-300 air defense systems outside, signs that this is a high-priority site.
Experts at the Institute for Science and International Security believe this complex Iran's secret facility could be a game changer. The underground facility might be designed to produce uranium enriched to 90%, the level needed to make nuclear weapons, or possibly to hide stockpiles of uranium smuggled in before the recent attacks. Iran denies that its nuclear program has any military purpose, insisting it's focused solely on medical research and energy. However, the discovery of uranium enriched to 83.7% at the F site in 2023 has deepened Western suspicions.
If this secret site in Shan really exists, it could become a major challenge for the International Atomic Energy Agency, which already struggles with limited access to Iran's nuclear facilities.
The wife of the Hamas leader flees to Turkey with large sums of cash. Reports say the wife of the mastermind behind the October 7th massacre was smuggled out of Gaza and has since remarried in Turkey. Sama Mohammed Abu Zama, the wife of Yahya Sinwar, escaped Gaza using a fake passport and was carrying a large amount of money. Sources in Gaza told Israel's WIT News that she remarried a few months after Sinwar was killed by Israeli forces in October 2024. According to the report, her wedding and engagement in Turkey were arranged by Fatih Hamas, a senior Hamas political bureau member involved in hiding militants and their families. In 2024, a video surfaced showing Abu Zama walking through a Hamas tunnel, carrying what looked like a designer handbag just hours before the October 7th attack. Although not officially confirmed, the story has spread widely in Israeli media. Hamas, which claims to represent Palestinian resistance, has been repeatedly accused of exploiting the suffering of ordinary Gazans who can't leave the Strip. WIT News quoted an Israeli official saying that both Abu Zama and Nawa Shinwa, the wife of Mohammed Shinwa, who took over Hamas leadership after his brother's death, had fled Gaza through the Rafah crossing. She's not here anymore. She crossed the border with a fake passport, a source said, adding that the escape required high-level coordination, logistical support, and large amounts of money, far beyond what everyday Gazans could manage. It's believed the women fled through a network of safe houses originally built by Hamas to shelter their leaders' families. The story comes amid growing Palestinian anger at Hamas after 19 months of war. Photos and videos showing senior Hamas members living in luxury elsewhere in the Middle East, funded by UN aid money, have sparked further outrage. One Gaza resident said, "They send their kids to study in Turkey and Qatar and send ours to war. What makes them any different from the corrupt rulers we see across the Arab world? They only care about themselves." That's the truth behind their so-called Islamic ideology. Hamas is now believed to be led by Ihsan al-Din Haddad, the only surviving top commander from October 7th. Talks over hostages have reportedly stalled due to difficulties in communicating with the few Hamas forces still active in Gaza. While the group still manages to hit Israeli targets occasionally, its ability to launch large-scale attacks appears to be gone.
Macron sparks uproar by recognizing Palestine. French President Emmanuel Macron announced that France would officially recognize a Palestinian state during the UN General Assembly in September. The move triggered immediate outrage from Israel and ignited a global debate over the Middle East peace process. Macron made the announcement on July 24th, saying he hoped it would be a step toward lasting peace in the region. He posted the message on X, formerly Twitter, along with a letter sent to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, where he confirmed France's commitment and urged other countries to follow suit. He wrote, "In line with our historic responsibility to pursue a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I've decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I'll announce it formally at the UN General Assembly in September."
If France follows through, it will become the first major Western power and home to both the largest Jewish and Arab communities in Europe to take this step. The move could energize the global campaign for recognition, which has so far been driven mostly by smaller countries critical of Israel. Israel responded furiously. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the French move a reward for terrorism and said it would lead to the creation of a puppet state controlled by Iran. Posting on X, he said that a Palestinian state in its current form would only serve as a launch pad for attacks on Israel, not a peaceful neighbor. Netanyahu added, "The Palestinians aren't seeking a state next to Israel. They want a state instead of Israel." Israel's defense minister also slammed the French decision, calling it a disgrace and a surrender to terror, stressing that Israel will never allow a Palestinian entity that threatens its security or existence. A U.S. diplomatic memo from June made it clear that Washington opposes any unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state, saying such moves go against American foreign policy interests and could have serious consequences.
And finally, thanks so much for listening to S News. We really appreciate your time and support. Make sure to follow us and keep an eye out for our future videos. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, like,